your optimism guru, ready to spread a little daily cheer in your world. I'm just sitting here drinking my blonde espresso. I don't know why I felt the need to make that noise while I did it. Is anyone else obsessed with the Starbucks blonde espresso? As I was told once by a complete Java snob, and I say that with the utmost respect because that guy knew his shit about beans. But he was like, that stuff is crap. White espresso is crap. It's junk. I'd never touch it with a 10-foot pole. And I was like, oh, I love it. I think it's delicious. So the coffee shop that I used to work at up in Wisconsin was Firefly Coffee House in Oregon. It's amazing. Go check it out. We served a blonde espresso there that was wonderful and super smooth, and the same as this. It's just a smoothness for whenever you don't really want the oomph and the boldness of espresso, of dark espresso. And actually a quick lesson in espresso and coffee beans. The lighter the roast, the more caffeinated. So actually this blonde espresso, if it fits everything that I've ever learned about coffee and espresso beans, this blonde espresso is actually more caffeinated than the jolt espresso that you generally think of as espresso. Same goes for coffee. Which is why your morning blends, your breakfast blends are a light roast, and the darker like French roast and those really just cast iron kind of colored coffees are actually, even though we think of them as being more stout and more robust and more caffeinated, they are actually lower on the caffeine scale than the lighter roast. So next time you want a real jolt of caffeine and you are reaching for a coffee beverage, do not go towards the robust flavors. Go towards the lighter roast. And if you're not a complete snob and will refuse to drink it, blonde espresso, because it's delicious. On that note, I want to tell a quick story, and I'm going to try to make this quick. So this weekend, I was out with friends, and it was a couple of couples, and we just were sitting around talking, and myself and the man that I was there with are fit and fitness conscious and nutrition conscious and just kind of aware of what we put into our bodies. We think of food as fuel, and we just exercise regularly and naturally, and it is part of our lifestyle and always has been. Always has been. I can't think of a time in my life where I wasn't fit, active, and nutritionally conscious, even as a kiddo. So I just grew up that way. I grew up with exceptional genes. I come from a thin family. I am naturally gifted to be a small, petite woman. So I do not take that for granted. I do not take that for granted, but I'm also fitness and nutrition conscious. The people that we were sitting across the table from, however, struggle with their weight. They struggle with their health. They struggle with their nutrition choices. We were having these conversations, as 40 and 50-year-old people tend to do. You know, we have to talk about the weather. We have to talk about ailments. We have to talk about struggles in weight loss and what we want to eat versus what we actually are eating, say, at a restaurant when you're ordering and you're out with friends. So it's just the rule. It's in the rule book. We were just following the rules. So we were having this conversation, and they were talking about their struggles, and we were kind of doing our best to kind of give tips and things like that. Well, this conversation carried over later once we weren't with this couple, because it's an interesting dynamic when people who just have always been in a fitness conscious lifestyle and just living life this way meet up with people who haven't always taken perfect care of themselves. And it's a very difficult, and I want to say this with the utmost care because I am not meaning to offend anyone in either camp, but from a lifelong fitness and nutrition standpoint, it is dichotomous because you don't want to come across as being like having holier than thou moments where, well, you know, I only eat blah, 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 and I only eat kale, and I only eat, you know, clean beef and chicken, and whatever the latest is. But it's very hard to make your lifestyle that is just ingrained, it's just part of the way that we live, sound appealing to people who are miserable and unhappy with their weight, don't like looking in the mirror, and don't feel good, and yet really, really enjoy the foods that they're eating, really that are killing them, really enjoy not really getting any set exercise because they really don't like to exercise, you know, quote unquote, they don't like to exercise, which really just means they don't feel good enough to feel like it would be enjoyable to get out and get moving, doing anything, and so they just don't. Even though if they got out and got moving, we all know that they would feel better, and they would enjoy it, and they would feel like doing it again. So there's a real rub not to come off in conversations like these as some sort of fitness holy roller, when really it's just part of my makeup. And so what I tend to do is I lean towards the everything in moderation. Yeah, I eat ice cream, and I eat, you know, cheese, and I drink whole milk in my coffee whenever I get that, and I eat candy, and I have a sweet tooth the size of Texas, which is true. I eat things that are on a more unhealthy meal plan also, but I eat them in small quantities. I eat them in moderation. I don't beat myself up every time I have something that is more on a naughty list than on a clean list. And I have no doubt that I will make up for it with lots of really great raw foods, vegetables, fruits, cleansing juices, lean meats, legumes, everything that is thought of as being a more nutritionally healthy option. And I will continue to exercise. So I don't beat myself up whenever I have treats. And when I am with couples or people who are struggling with their weight and their health and things like that, I try to err more on that side of the discussion, because I don't want my fit, healthy lifestyle to further turn people who are struggling with having a fit, healthy lifestyle off. I want them to come to my side of the fence. So I'm not going to be like, oh, but you should try that raw diet that, you know, where all you eat is spinach leaves and carrots all day long. That's a horrible example. That's terrible. But it's the truth. Whenever you're talking to people who are struggling with their weight, I beg of you, if you are a fit, healthy person, do not alienate them. Send love, send wonderful tips in the most gentle way possible, and then just invite them for a walk, or invite them over to your house and just serve rich, delicious, yet healthy meals. Do something to make them see the pleasurable sides of living a fit, healthy lifestyle, rather than feeding into their worst fears that they're never going to get to eat anything else that they ever like in their lives ever again if they start taking care of themselves, and, you know, are just going to be miserable all the time. The fact of the matter is, as an unhealthy, unfit person, they are miserable all the time now. So please, if you are a fit, healthy person speaking to someone who is not a fit, healthy person, and you are having those discussions, please take very careful caution to lead by example, but not be like the crazed fitness junkie who will not shut up about it and make them miserable. Okay, that's all I'm going to say on that subject. it was a really eye-opening evening for me, and whenever that thought came to mind, how I processed having those kinds of conversations, I just felt like it would be something worth sharing. Something else worth sharing. Take a gander at this beautiful, beautiful book. It is not Mother's Day yet. In fact, it is not Mother's Day for an entire month. And yet, my child purchased my favorite piece of literature, Walden by Henry David Thoreau, in this beautiful limited edition Franklin leather-bound book. And it is a work of art in and of itself, aside from the fact that the literature is also a wonderful work of art. So I am so excited. I felt absolutely decadent reading Walden again, or starting it. I have not gotten far. Starting Walden in this beautifully bound book. I mean, it has some illustrations that are pen drawn. I mean, it's just beautiful. It's just so beautiful. I love whenever books that are already your favorites, or things that are already special to you, whenever you have the opportunity to take that special thing and amp it up a little bit more, so that the things that are special to you truly move you and truly speak to your heart, like a beautiful leather-bound copy of Walden. I am so excited. So excited. And the last thing that I wanted to mention is I have a quick question. Does anyone else use like heavy, thick conditioners that are not meant for everyday use? I swear, I use AUSSIE's 3-Minute Miracle conditioner before they went to Moist, and I forget what other versions they have, but Moist is the one that I use. Before they even went to all of these different versions of this 3-Minute Miracle conditioner, my hair is super fine. It tangles very easily, and so I have to be really conscious of the conditioners that I use in my hair. And I have used this stuff for decades, and whenever I use a normal conditioner, I just hate it. And so why would I ever do that? But I think it's so funny because this morning as I was showering, I thought, I wonder how many other people use conditioners that are meant for like occasional use every single day of their lives. This girl, that's who. Anyway, I hope that this little rambling diatribe has brought you some joy today, has brought you some optimism and fun and motivation. And I love your feedback. I would love to hear from you. I love thumbs up. I love shares. I love messages. And I love you guys, and that you watch and that you consume this little bit of content that I put out. So until I see you again, I hope that you are making it a great day. It's so good. It's so